All right, now it's time for a little fantasy football. Week 12, D Nasty's back. Dave, I don't like what you're saying right there on your name. Go Bear, go down.
Yep,
That's
bear down, but it's the Bears go down.
that. I mean, that's nothing new. Yeah, I knew they were missing the field goal before Eberflus even knew it. It's like he's such a dumb. He plays to lose. It's like you have a 35 seconds, another timeout. Do a read option. You're on the left hash mark. Do a read option. Everyone's going to cheat to the running back.
Exactly. Or
And
try to
then
get
you
another
can.
first down, or try to get closer even. You have that much time left.
It's a losing mentality to kind of be like, I'm scared to let my quarterback throw it or turn an interception. It's like you lost the game before you kicked it because of that, because you're already instilled losing. You're losing coachness, into the team. And then they complain about the foul that wasn't called. You know what? They don't call that all the time. I do see it called, like we're the Chiefs should be called, but it's like that's something you can't expect them to call at the end.
No, I was gonna say I heard no complaint about that last call. Now, yeah, not many people are gonna not many times he's not gonna get called at all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like you in according to refs, good teams earn calls. The Bears aren't, and they screwed up. But there's one good thing though, Dave, that I've taken from this game. You know what that is?
Higher draft pick.
No, well, that I guess too. But everyone's saying Caleb Williams outplayed Jordan Love, so kind of going with that one a little bit. Yeah, Packer fans aren't that happy. They're a little bit disgruntled too.
Yeah, we definitely had our mistakes in that game too. LaFleur should have kicked the field goal when we were down there instead of going for it. And then Love overthrew Kraft on that one. That was a bad throw. So yeah, we definitely have some work to do too coming out of the bye. So, but yeah, it wasn't a clean game at all. I definitely thought you guys should have won that game, to tell you the truth. We still own you guys though, so hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, well, all you have to do is look across Lake Michigan, and all hopes are pretty much down right now because Detroit is just on an absolute rampage into the NFC. They're going to get home field advantage, and they're going to be in complete control of the playoffs. But here we are. It's Fantasy Football Week 12. We got a Cowboys game going on right now. It's like almost halftime. And Dave, this is Fantasy Destructo Week. And why don't you explain why that is?
Yes, a ton of buys this week. Going into week 12, this is going to be a tough week for a lot of people, actually. So you definitely want to listen to our pickups this week and take those for to cover some of these buys this week. 6 teams on buy this week. Falcons. I'll start off with the Falcons. Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. A ton of guys on the Falcons, actually. Even though Cousins didn't look that good this week, he's still a starter, borderline starter in most leagues. The Bills, another high-powered offense. A lot of fantasy guys, people on this team as well. Dalton Kincaid, even though he's hurt this week. James Cook, Josh Allen, Amari Cooper. Curtis Samuel has actually come on the last couple of weeks. You're probably still not starting him, but definitely another guy you're going to get on your bench, though, as well. Keon Coleman, who had flashes this year, too. The Bengals, I feel sorry for the Bengals. I watched the game last night. They've lost to 4 teams now in the last 2 minutes of the game, and they should have won like 3 out of those 4 games. Burrow's been balling out this year. He's having one of his best years ever, and they're still losing, which is crazy. So, but Joe Burrow to your bench, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown. Really, none of their tight ends are probably starting right now. Mike Gesicki, maybe. I doubt anyone's starting him now. Jaguars, you probably don't really have anyone on the Jaguars are starting right now. Possibly Trevor Lawrence, maybe Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne. Actually, Evan Ingram is a starter probably in most leagues still. That's probably one of the few starters. Brian Thomas. Those are probably the 2 main guys from the Jaguars you have to get on your bench. So get those guys on your bench. The Saints, big win by the Saints this past week. Taysom Hill, monster game this past week. Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, the really MVS, Valdon Scantling, who's actually had another good game this week. We talked about him last week, picking him up. Kamara, actually, he's going to be the main guy there that you definitely got to get on your bench. But those are the main guys there for the Saints. The Jets. The Jets. They lost to Indianapolis now, too. It's pretty sad when Zach Wilson had a better winning percentage with the Jets than Aaron Rodgers does. Yeah. But anyway, it is. It's just sad, but it's funny at the same time.
Let's hope the Packer fans shut up about comparing him to top 5 all-time quarterbacks because I'm sick of hearing that.
No, I haven't been saying that. I'm not a big Rodgers fan ever since the last couple of years here. He kind of wore out his welcome here at Prima Donna. But anyways, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, maybe Tyler Conklin, uh, and then definitely Brees Hall. Braylon Allen's not being started right now, but if you have him in your lineups by chance, which you shouldn't, get all those guys on your bench. So definitely one of the biggest bye weeks here. It's gonna be really tough to get lineups submitted this week. So do your best, find those pickups, find those hidden gems, and find those guys trending up this week and plug them into your lineup. Plus, this is the last couple weeks before the playoffs too, so to make sure you got to get these last couple wins these next couple weeks. So this is actually an important week as well.
Right, it is. And just all these buys, I think the waiver wires are going to be pretty important. You might have to pick up some guys that you wouldn't pick up normally, and that there's some diamonds out there still. There's a couple guys trending up, and hopefully Dave and I can help with that a little bit. I put some work into it, and so does Dave. The key injuries, there isn't a lot of them. Jake Ferguson just went out with a concussion for Dallas, so I'll mention him. So he could miss next game. We'll see who his backup is. Obviously, they're throwing the ball to their receivers a lot more, so that could just be how Dallas plays it. Darnell Mooney had a hamstring, but he has a bye week next week. But still, Alexander Madison had an ankle injury, and Zamir White had a quad injury. So you got both guys on the Raiders that are questionable, not sure what's going on for the weekend against a tough game at Denver anyway. And then you have Tyjae Spears that had a concussion too for Tennessee, but I don't have a lot more. Can you add to that, Dave?
Sure. Just a few, like you said, there aren't very many this week. Lab McConkey, he had a shoulder injury. He did come back into the game. They say it's an AC joint sprain. He might be out. It could last up to 2 weeks, but he did play with it though. So definitely keep an eye on that. He should hopefully play this week. Raheem Mostert, your boy, left with a hip injury. He's going to be doubtful probably for this week, but he's questionable, so keep an eye on that one. Julian Wright might be a nice player to pick up, but we'll talk about that here shortly.
He's not my boy no more. Monster's not my boy anymore. We're fighting.
Puka Nuka, he left with with an injury, but they really didn't say what it was. They're thinking it's a concussion. He didn't come back into the game. He was on the sidelines with Cooper Kupp, so we're not sure about that. So keep an eye on that one. Gabe Davis for the Jacksonville left with a knee injury, so keep an eye on that one. George Kittle hamstring injury. Hopefully he'll be back.
He didn't even play. Yeah,
no, he didn't even play. So, but I just want to let you know that he's questionable for this week as well, though, with that hamstring injury.
They expect him to play against Green Bay this week, but you never know. So good.
Yeah, keep an eye on that. Actually, Isaiah Pacheco, his ankle injury, he's actually projected to come back in week 12, possibly this week, if not week 13 at the latest. So that's actually really good news to have him back. You can plug him into a lot of your lineups. But that's all I had for injuries, though. There wasn't very many major ones out there.
Yeah, one of my leagues have been just suffering without Pacheco.
Me too.
Because I picked up Samaji and then they signed Kareem Hunt, so that really worked out not good for me. No, good stuff. So make sure you guys bench those, bench your waivers or bench your buys. I mean, waiver wire.
One other thing too, Daniel Jones was benched today, so Tommy DeVito is going to be the guy you want to pick up. I'll just lead off the waiver wire pickup. So Tommy DeVito is the pickup of the week. The guy you want to plug in for quarterback this week is Tommy DeVito.
He was my first one, Dave. So good call. Tommy DeVito gets the nod over Jake Locker.
Drew Lock, you mean?
Or Drew Lock is what I want to say. You remember Locker? God, he was terrible.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Drew Lock. Anything with a lock is not a lock to be a good NFL quarterback. Running back Jonathan Brooks for the Panthers will make his debut against the Chiefs. Now, it's not the greatest team to make your debut against, but, if you're a Chuba Hubbard owner like me, you get a little bit nervous for these situations. Maybe grab them if you can, because, now Carolina's just got to see who they have. So there could be a game like you saw, like Javonte Williams getting benched 2 weeks ago. So that sucked. So keep your eye on Jonathan Brooks. Running back Amir Abdullah is going to be huge for the Raiders, especially if Zamir White and Alexander Madison's out. So keep that in mind for them. Running back Julius Chestnut for the Titans could be important as a backup to Pollard with Tyjae Spears with his concussion. Wide receiver Casey Washington for the Mooney injury might be a streamer in 2 weeks. Wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikine had 6 targets and a long touchdown. So he's someone that you can grab off your waivers this week and maybe do okay. Tight end Noah Gray is getting a lot more targets these days in Kansas City. He's had 2 touchdowns. Tight end Will Dissly was great for the Chargers. He got the first TD of the game. Wide receiver Elijah Moore is getting lots of targets in Cleveland. Xavier Worthy has had some big plays at the Bills. And wide receiver Roma Dunze had 10 targets for the Bears. So he's kind of a decent waiver wire pickup as well. And if you hear someone in the background, it could be my kids as we're doing this early. Thank you, Dave, as I'm sick and I'm going right to bed after this. What you got for the waiver wire?
You got most of the ones I had. I had Will Dissly. I like that one a lot. Actually, a couple guys I've forgotten about, actually. Will Levis. He's actually had 2 good weeks. He's averaging over the last 2 weeks 17.8 fantasy points. This is actually pretty good. And he had a season-high 295 passing yards against the Vikings this past week. So if he's out there, he's a nice bye-week fill-in. Bryce Young, actually, we just talked about Jonathan Brooks. Bryce Young has actually been playing pretty solidly in the last couple of weeks, and he is starting coming out of the bye, they said. They did confirm. So does have a tough matchup, I know, at Kansas City, but you can do a lot worse for the bye week fill-in than Bryce Young. So another guy, Drake May, another 2 touchdowns this past week. He does have a lot of turnovers as well, but another good bye week fill-in. He actually has a nice matchup at Miami this week. Tank Bigsby should be back this week. He was out last week with an ankle injury. He did re-aggravate that, they said, but he should play. Trevor Lawrence, too, should return this week to the lineup. So some bye week fill-ins. A lot of people may have dropped these guys or forgot about them. I like Dylan Lobb, actually, too, another guy is a rookie for the Raiders. I do like Abdullah, like you said, but Dylan Lobb is another guy you might want to keep an eye on, too, this week, especially with bye weeks, the large amount of bye weeks. Lobb might actually get a chance this week, especially with the Raiders' poor record. I do like him this week. We did talk about Austin. Actually, another guy is Cam Akers. He actually had a touchdown this past week, and they're playing Chicago next week as well. So another guy you want to keep an eye on. He might have a good week next week. MVS, we talked about him past week. If he still is there, he's only rostered, it says, in 25% of leagues right now, which I think is really low. But if MVS is still there for the Saints, pick him up. He had another touchdown this past week. And then I had Westbrook as well for the Titans. Ray McLeod's actually, but those guys he's on a bye though. And then Thielen and Darius Slayton actually against Tampa Bay. Now that they have a different quarterback, Slayton actually had a couple good weeks before the bye, so he actually is a guy to keep an eye on. And then Theo Johnson and Jatavian Sanders, if you need a tight end for the buys this week. Those are 2 young guys, 2 rookies who've actually been coming on the last couple of weeks. They're both had buys, but they're coming off their buys, and I think they could have a good week. For defenses, if you need defense this week, I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders, actually. They're hosting the Dallas Cowboys, who have been not playing well. As you can see tonight, they only have 10 points so far. And Cooper Rush is turnover prone as well. So I like that with Dak out. I like the Washington Redskins as a streamer for defense this week.
Yeah, the Redskins, Commanders. Commanders could be a good streamer. Well, why don't you go right into your sleepers then, Dave, and see what you got.
All right, sounds good. I like Jalen Warren this week against the Browns. He actually is beginning more carries every week, actually. Had a pretty solid stat line this past week. He had about 40 to 50 yards rushing and 4 catches for about another 30 yards. So he's actually coming on in the last couple of weeks, and they're playing the Browns, who have given up quite a few points over the last couple of weeks. I do like Cam Akers, actually, against the Bears. He like I said, he had a touchdown this past week. Aaron Jones is banged up, so he's getting more carries as well. I do like that matchup for them. I like Tank Dell against the Titans actually this week, even though they have a good run defense. Their pass defense isn't as good, so I do like Tank Dell. He's not with Nico Collins back though. That does reduce his carries or his touches and targets, but I do like him this week against them. I do like Jalen Wright this week against the Patriots. With Mostert out, he's gonna get some more carries as well, so I do like that matchup. I like Brian Robinson and Eckler against the Cowboys. They're definitely trending up. Cowboys defense is not good this year, and they have tons of injuries on defense. So definitely like that matchup for them. I like Juwan Jennings. I think he's borderline almost starter probably now, but I like Juwan Jennings against the Packers. I hate to say it, but my pack looked horrible on defense this past week. They cannot stop Caleb Williams, which is pretty sad. But the new offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, I got to give it to him, though. But, hey, Packers defense did not look good this past week, and they're playing the 49ers. So definitely.
Well, the Packers lost their quarterback to their corner.
Jair. He hasn't played the last couple of weeks, though, anyway. So,
yeah.
he came in for the first quarter, and then he's always injured now. So Joe, you're a pussy. I'm not even going to go there actually. So I like that matchup for them. And then actually, that's all I got then.
No, I agree with a lot of that. Rico Dowdle should be okay versus the Commanders.
Yeah.
As long as they're not completely chasing. A quarterback, Bo Nix, against the Raiders is big, and he's going to be a borderline starter here, Dave.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, this might be the last week I should mention his name. Quentin Johnson is about there as well against the Ravens. The Ravens' pass D is terrible. I like Quentin Johnson for the Chargers, and the Harbaugh Bowl is going to be fun, man. Last time they played each other, the Super Bowl, when the Niners lost to the Ravens on that last second.
That's right. I forgot all about that.
Yep.
It was a good game.
Oh, can't wait. You might as well throw Justin Herbert in there as well. He should be good. Tank Dell against the Jaguars is going to be big. I like Tank Dell. Just like you said, I agree with that. Roman Dinze versus the Vikings could be good too because he's getting a lot of targets. Seems like he likes him a little bit. Anthony Richardson versus the Lions, believe it or not. The Lions lost their weak side linebacker, Azalone, and he was really good for that team. I think, Anthony Richardson should be able to put up some yards. Yeah, I think that, this might not be a gimme. The Lions are not going to have all gimmies. They can score against anybody, but one hiccup on offense, they can be in a little trouble. Wide receiver Jacoby Myers against Denver, because that might be the only people they have to really throw to. Abdullah will also get some touches, but him.
Bowers had a huge game this past week, but Bowers is a pretty much starter right now, though.
Yeah, he's the best tight end actually in the NFL from a catches perspective. So he's a complete starter. And that's it. So you pretty much hit them too. So I agree with all that for sleepers. Let's move on to bus. I have quarterback Matt Stafford against the Eagles. That could be bad or good. So, not always good. The Eagles have been really good lately with Fangio at defensive coordinator. Right back J.K. Dobbins. Now, man, he's a starter. It's just against the Ravens. But here's the thing. Roquan Smith is banged up. So if he's not playing, then I'm going to erase this. Then I do like J.K. Dobbins. I think Roquan Smith is massive to this Ravens team. And
agreed. I was going to say J.K. Dobbins before too, but like you said, Ravens have a pretty good run deep, so I wasn't sure. But Dobbins has been looking really good. He actually this past week he looked good again. So, and he's staying fresh now with Edwards back. He's kind of giving him some time off, splitting carries with him a little bit. But I like that though because it keeps him fresh.
Yep, CeeDee Lamb against Washington has been kind of broken with that quarterback there. I don't see too many touchdowns for him in the future, man. It's really sad for CeeDee because he was my first round draft pick in a league, and probably a lot of people's first round draft pick. And it's tough, when that receiver loses their quarterback with a backup like Cooper Rush. It's just not happening, especially when you got McCarthy there coaching. Quarterback Jordan Love is a bust against the pissed off 49ers, and the Niners are going to be pissed. I think Greenlaw might be back. Here's a good thing for Jordan though. Nick Bosa might miss because he's got that hip issue now. So Nick Bosa is actually in trouble. But still, the Niners are just going to be, lights out. They might miss the playoffs. They need to win this game. Quarterback Sam Darnold may struggle against the Bears too. I'm not a big Darnold guy. I think the coaching gets him open, gets the receivers open, but the Bears, after being embarrassed at home like that, I think they're going to step up and play the Vikings pretty well. And then, hate to say it, but Raheem Mostert is banged up. But, dude, he's been scoring nothing the last few weeks. He's done. It's all Achin now, and even Wright is getting his money or more touches than him. So, yeah, it's over for poor Raheem, Dave. Until someone gets hurt, then I'll be right back on the bench. Let's you give me your busts.
I don't like Winston against the Steelers. Steelers have been balling out on defense lately. That team is tough.
He did okay as my nasty sleeper last week. At least he did actually okay. It wasn't.
He did really good actually. He put up almost 400 yards up, so 2 touchdowns. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't like him. Panthers, we're going to kind of downgrade them against that tough Chiefs defense. Even though I said Bryce Young was a good pickup, definitely bye week fill-in, but I don't know how well he does against the Chiefs D, so I'm downgrading him a little bit. And Chuba Hubbard against him as well. The Chiefs have a good defense. I don't like – I agree with you on Darnold. I do like Darnold this year because he has a lot of weapons and a good coaching around him. I think he does struggle a little bit against the Bears, though. The Bears do have a good defense. They have a good pass D, some good corners. So definitely downgrading him. Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if I like Richardson against the Lions. I think he does struggle against the Lions. I know they're losing their one linebacker, but Richardson had a good game last week on their first game back. But I'm kind of undecided on Richardson. I'm actually downgrading him this week. I think Taylor has a better game, but with the linebacker out, but definitely downgrading him. I don't like any of the Raiders this week. I don't like the running backs this week against the tough Broncos D, or Gardner Minshew against the tough Broncos D. Their defense has been balling out this year as well. I don't like that matchup. Like you said, I'm kind of iffy on J.K. Dobbins right now against that tough Baltimore D. I don't know. I think Saquon's a must start, so you can't downgrade him against the Rams D, but their front four is pretty good. Maybe Jalen Hurts does struggle a little bit against the Rams D because they do have that pressure. They do have that nice pass rush from those. They have all those good down linemen like Kobe Turner and a couple other linebackers who are pretty tough. So I think Jalen Hurts could struggle a little bit this week. Saquon's always going to get his, but I think Jalen could struggle this week a little bit against the Rams.
No, I don't disagree. He could. They're kind of in that spot where they just beat a division opponent in Washington, and they got extra rest. But I don't know what Rams team's going to show up every week.
Exactly, it's hard to say.
It is hard to say with them, especially when the Kua could be out. Nasty sleeper time, Dave. I'll go first. I'm going to go with a running back for a bad team, and that bad team's the Giants, and I'm going with Tyrone Tracy.
I like it.
Yeah. I think the Giants are in bounce back spot here. You know, they're playing Tampa's D, which isn't so good. And, I think that now that they benched Danny Dimes and, the new kid is coming back, obviously the Italian stallion. I think that it's going to be one of those situations where DeVito's got to hand it off a lot, and I think Tyrone Tracy also will get some dump offs, and I think he gets a lot of points against the bad Tampa defense.
All right, my nasty sleeper this week, I'm going with Tua for the Dolphins. A lot of people have forgotten about him since the concussion, but definitely I think he's going to have a great game this week. He's been playing well the last couple of weeks. He's just been playing better and better. He's getting Tyreek and Waddle involved again. I think he has a great game against the Patriots. They're in must-win mode now every week, so they've been playing a lot better, and they're putting up some points the last couple of weeks now too. I'm going Tua as my D-nasty sleeper this week.
All right, yeah, Tua, I guess, would be a for sure starter. So, yeah, I go with that. Tua has been awesome with Tyreek Hill, and, they throw the ball all the time there. It's, I think it's a great situation for them against the Patriots, too, and they should definitely put up a ton of yards. And I think the Patriots also put up some yards, too, like you mentioned earlier, Dave. Anything we missed?
No, I don't think so. You can see as from the podcast, I'm glowing with joy after our Bears win that we shouldn't have won. But definitely make sure you get those bye week feelings in. And make sure you make that final push now for the playoffs. If you're on the borderline of the playoffs right now, make that final push this week and next week.
It's always an emotional boost when you play Matt Eber lose. So it's it's good for all teams to face the Bears. Unfortunately, I'd say that, but you know what? Things are still looking up for my Bears, so I'm going to remain glasses half full. Just for Caleb Williams and a couple other guys, we still got to get rid of the coach. All right, Dave. Thanks again, man, for coming on. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast. If you have any questions for us, feel free to tweet us at The Oddsbreakers. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. Have a great rest of your week, and go get some winners.